Happy Monday, friends. How are you today? I'm Beth Berry. I'm Vice President of Business Development for Real Green Software. We serve the green industry. We're based in Walled Lake, Michigan. I'm in Indianapolis today. We have a fair amount of snow. Who watched the Super Bowl? I'm going to have to listen to Mark Kelbacher again today with his friend, the GOAT, and Bob Mann. And they didn't even rub my nose in it about the GOAT. Just remember, guys, they didn't do it in your neck of the woods in New England this year. They did it in Tampa, where my friends, the Carters, you guys know Florida Spray Equipment, right? They lived down there. They had lots of fun for the Super Bowl. Wasn't that great a game, but the commercials were fun. I liked T-Mobile and the M&M commercial where you give a package of M&Ms when you want to make friends with someone. She says, "I'm sorry I called you Karen. Here's a bag of M&Ms. The other girl says, "But my name's Karen." She gives her another bag of M&Ms. "I'm sorry, your name's Karen." Now to the hard-hitting green industry news that you tune in for every Monday. First of all, I just got this text from Kendall Hines. If you are in the United Kingdom and you would like to use LawnBot, LawnBot works great there. It works great in China. Where do you want to do lawn care? Kendall and the LawnBot guys can hook you up. So UK friends who were asking me that, it's a go. I can hook you up with Kendall. We are off to the races. They are an integrated partner, part of the Real Green family now, and we're having a lot of fun with LawnBot. Let's talk about COVID and mask and vaccines, because you can't get enough of that anywhere else, right? So you said, "Hey, Beth, can we talk about that on Monday morning?" We are going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about why it matters to the green industry, some things you might not have thought about. How many of you, when you go to a business or a restaurant, would say that you wear your mask or face covering all or most of the time? Raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, me too. I definitely do. And I'm in Indiana, and we are fairly open. There's a lot of things you can do, a lot of places you can go here. And I would say 92% is the right number. This is from Pew Research, by the way. Not me, not Real Green. Pew Research also asked how many people are bothered, how many American people are bothered that when you go out in public, someone is not wearing a mask or not properly wearing a mask. What percent of the American population that contributed to Pew Research? 75% are not happy. I know in the green industry, our business owners that I have spoken with state that they get very few comments from homeowners because, first of all, we're outside doing our work, right, for the most part. Some of you do indoor pest control. And when they're in public places and you're reminding them if they stop by Wendy's for lunch and they're not at the drive-thru, anytime they're anywhere that they're properly wearing that mask. So 75% of Americans are annoyed if you're not wearing the mask. This is interesting. How comfortable are you as an American going to these settings? Now, and this is January 2021, 75% of Americans are comfortable going out to the grocery store while wearing a mask, and they assume that at least 92% of their peers are also wearing masks. 65% are comfortable visiting with a close friend or family member inside their home. 53% are comfortable going to a hair salon or barbershop. Pick me on that one. 44% are comfortable eating out inside of a restaurant. 19% comfortable with an indoor sporting event or concert. No, I'm not there. And 15% are comfortable attending a crowded party. No, thank you. So that just gives you a state of the union for consumer research. Now we're going to talk about the vaccine. How many of you have had the vaccine? That would mean, in my state, you fit the criteria of over 65 years of age, you're a frontline healthcare professional, or you have extenuating health or immunity issues. About 40% of Americans say they are likely to opt out of the virus vaccine, coronavirus vaccine. So what does that mean to your workplace? If we were all assuming that more folks would sign up for it and get it as soon as possible. Now, about 40%, 4 in 10 say they may not get it. Although some of those folks said, at the time it reaches my age group and I'm eligible, I might have a different opinion. So some of the reluctance had to do with it being so fresh and out. You go first, and if you don't die and you don't grow a third head, then I will do it. So I think as we're gaining more confidence with more and more vaccination companies bringing it forward, that does seem to be gaining some momentum for that. Also, if you are in one of those demographics where you're at health risk for coronavirus causing a hospitalization or a very sick situation, those folks obviously seem to be more interested in getting it. But as a workplace business owner, what can you do or not do with regards to vaccination? Can you demand your employees receive this vaccination? Do you think you can? I haven't seen that state yet. If you can do that in your state, send it to me because I would like to see it. I don't believe that we can do that anywhere yet. Can you incentivize employees to receive their vaccination? And if you're a hospital worker, I don't know why you're watching me on Monday morning. I'm talking about green industry business owners and workers. Can you incentivize your team to go get the vaccine? Hey, you get the vaccine, you show us the card for 1 or 2, depending on which vaccine, you get a $100 bonus or some other variable of that. This is what many of our business owners are asking me. I don't know if you guys know this, not an attorney, but I have just the right information. NALP, our friends, Andrew Bray, Bob Mann, joined a coalition urging the current Biden administration to issue guidance on employer vaccine incentives. So can you do it? Are you not allowed to do it? If so, what are the implications? NALP and a very long list of other industries, just to give you a sampling: Blue Cross Blue Shield, Council of Insurance Agents, Association of Manufacturers, Wholesale Dealers, Mixed Concrete, Retail, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Tree Care Association, many associations banded together to ask the Biden administration and urging the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, to quickly issue guidance clarifying the extent to which employers may offer employees incentives to vaccinate without running afoul of the Americans with Disability Act and other laws enforced by EEOC. Employer-provided incentives can assist governments in quickly and efficiently distributing vaccines. Legal uncertainty about providing such incentives, however, has many employers concerned over liability and has made them hesitant to act so far. NALP therefore urges the EEOC to issue guidance providing clarification on the extent to which you, as an employer, may offer your employees incentives to vaccinate. NALP will continue to push for smart policies to assist landscape professionals continue to tackle COVID-19 related hurdles in their business. So be thinking about, as an employer, how you would approach that. One area where, let's just say, everyone in your organization is excited to do it. We have friends who have found that if you register at the local pharmacies in the state of Indiana, this is how it works. You set up a profile at Meyer Pharmacy, and you select the box, I would like to be notified when I'm available. You've already got your health information, your date of birth. What we're finding in many of these is that once a file is open, it's time sensitive and has to be used in 6 hours. And so we're finding a lot of last minute opportunities for our friends, not in the demographic of 65 or older yet, or immunocompromised, that are getting vaccinated very quickly. So there are some ways in certain states to kind of expedite it, but as an employer, can you provide that information and include incentives? I will continue to keep you updated on that. Andrew Bray sent a letter to the Honorable Charlotte A. Burrows. She's the chairman of the EEOC, and that was sent on February 1st, asking them to expedite any information that we could use in terms of incentives. So instead of saying, I'm going to terminate you if you don't have the vaccine, Are we allowed to incentivize, and if so, how? NALP also last week. Gosh, you guys have been busy. I don't know how they get it all done, really. The Environmental Protection Agency reissued NPDES permits that were set to expire in October. Very, very important. Let me get through some of the big words and tell you what it means to us. In January, the EPA published a draft National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, that's NPDES, pesticide general permit for point source discharges from the application of pesticides, and this was a reissue. The general permit is required by federal law to be renewed on a 5-year cycle, with the current general permit expiring this coming October 2021. The requirements for NPDES permits are a result of a 2009 Court of Appeals decision, the National Cotton Council, versus the EPA. That court determined that under the Clean Water Act, we'll be talking about that almost every Monday, discharges of pollutants into waters of the United States, also known as WOTUS, shall require obtaining an NPDES permit. The ruling came despite EPA's opposition and argument that pesticides applied in accordance with FIFRA are exempt from CWA's permit requirements. So we had enjoyed the status of operating underneath the FIFRA and not being impacted by this. May not be the case anymore. Subsequently, EPA created the general NPDES permit. And more on that as it becomes available, but it could make it a little more difficult for us this year as we talk about the types of control products that are available and how we use them in lawn and turf. Hopefully you all have signed up for Bob Mann's ACT team. He is gathering lawn care professionals from across the United States so that when we need representation from one of the 10 regions that the EPA divides out the country, we can get you to participate and provide directives to key members of Congress from your home area. So more on that as we go. You know what else is new in national news before we get to the states? This guy, Marty Walsh, he is expected to be the labor secretary. And there is a high degree of urgency to get him approved and in the seat. With millions of Americans out of work and small business strained by losses born out of the coronavirus pandemic, Washington lawmakers made it clear Thursday they intend to move very quickly on Marty Walsh. This is a job that needs to be filled today, says Robert Burr before the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Labor, and Pensions. Some of the initiatives that they expect the Labor Secretary to begin work on right away is a national minimum wage for $15. This does not have bipartisan support. And you'll have members of, it's very lengthy, of let's say the restaurant industry, where those workers were predominantly being supported by tips. And now what would the $15 minimum wage do to the cost of running a business, such as a restaurant? It's going to have an impact on us perhaps as well. Within the green industry, there are not a lot of minimum wage workers, certainly in some entry-level positions, that's the case. And so what impact would that have on your business should it come to fruition, and across some other key industries such as restaurant, which is already struggling? Most of the lawmakers submit that they would like for that to be a state decision, and that a one-size-fits-all approach to that probably does not make sense. They'd also like the new labor secretary to work on the keystone jobs that are being lost, as a very important part of restoring unemployment to the United States. And that's going to get real interesting, isn't it? We are so grateful that we've been essential all this time, right? Except in Michigan, I hear you. Here's another new piece of legislation that's being introduced in a couple of states. Let me find Maryland here, but could also be introduced at a national level. My editor has these way out of order today. Oh, wait, I am the editor. So in Maryland, they are considering a back pay kind of combat pay. I'm going to use the word combat. That's not the right word. But they are suggesting that if you were an essential worker, a deemed essential worker in the state of Maryland, I think all of the green industry businesses that we work with definitely fall into that category, that retroactively you go back and pay a $3 per hour bonus to employees that worked during that time period. I thought it was just going to be healthcare workers. That is not the case. The way the law has been introduced in Maryland is that it applies to anyone that worked during that time, had a risk with COVID because they were working, and they were deemed essential. So, Maryland, I'm going to be talking to Brad Leahy today. Mark Schlossberg, you're in Maryland. You're an expert on all things Maryland. Be anxious to hear your thoughts on that as well. Could be interesting, and certainly not in most of your budgets, right? Andrew Bray had one other note for us in the Advocate, and this is a House bill whereby, as part of the Clean Air Act, we would not be able to, Joe McPhail. Hi, I'm on Facebook Live right now with Joe McPhail. Anything you'd like to contribute today? Joe says he misses you guys and he'd like to be the guest next week. I'm going to make that happen. Can I call you back as soon as I'm done with my friends here? I'm just wrapping up the news. Okay, bye. He didn't think that was funny even, but you can tell who's not watching it, right? If you call me during this time, I know you're not watching. Where was I? I only answered it because it was Joe, and I know you guys love him. There is a bill, Senate Bill 412, being introduced for the Clean Water Act that would not allow you, the business owner, to apply software to some of your equipment to see where the troubleshooting is. Only the manufacturer. It's very bizarre. I've asked Andrew and Bob Mann for some more information on that, but essentially it would stop many of you from troubleshooting equipment with the software and fixing it yourself. You'd have to take it to a manufacturer. I don't even think the manufacturers are ready for that. Keep you posted on that one. Massachusetts, last week. Many of you are from Massachusetts. Some of my best friends are in Massachusetts. I love the seafood. I don't love the Patriots. You guys still love Tom Brady. Last week on Thursday, the acting director of the EPA, the Office of Pesticide Programs in Massachusetts, Ed Messina, gave the task force an update on the agency's actions since they were first informed addressing mosquito control in your state this year. This is what they are concentrating on. Another fun phrase I've asked you to memorize. You don't know when you're going to need this for Jeopardy one day. HDPE plastic containers are fluorinated and they improve the strength and longevity of plastic. So actually, the PFAS, which is chlorophyll substances, are in the lining of the plastic containers, and they help the active ingredients stay active longer. This is what now the state of Massachusetts is going after, are containers carrying these pesticides with the PFAS. So all of our friends at Bayer and BASF are in a hub about how they can more quickly transition to materials that will allow the active ingredients to stay active as long, be as safe as they are, and quickly step up to the standards that these local Environmental Protection Agency offices are requesting. So more on that later. Let's just hope that when they find this new package, it doesn't cost us more, right? We want it to be as safe. So it's interesting they weren't going after the product themselves this time, but actually the containers. Lastly, our friends at Bayer have floated a revised plan to resolve future Roundup lawsuits. Are we going to be talking about Roundup 5 years from now? Still, even though they have settled many of these out of court, the question as to whether or not glyphosate is a carcinogenic has never indisputably been proven. Go ahead and Google it. You'll find 10 stories that say it has, an 11 that says it hasn't. I can send you that 11th one. But it is interesting if you think about what other products we would use as a sterilant in beds, the way we've used Roundup over the years. If you are using an alternative to glyphosate, Roundup, let me know what it is. We would love to interview you on here because perhaps there are already alternatives out there that are being more widely used that I just don't know about. That is completely possible. Wednesday, I have Matt Parise with Best Practice Wednesday. We're going to talk about routing in Service Assistant 5. A little bit nuanced. I don't know anyone that doesn't like it, but there are some nuanced training areas that we cover in training that we are going to provide the best practice on Wednesday. Nobody does it better than Matt Parise. So I look forward to seeing you then. If there's any local news that we should know about in your neck of the woods, let me know. I'd also like to know how you feel about vaccinations in the workplace in the green industry. And I'll bring that to everyone next week. Have a terrific week, and I will see you soon.